Everyone thinks a mini fridge is just a dorm toy or beer box, but here's the thing, the Whirlpool Mini Fridge can actually play in the big leagues because, in real testing, it held safe temps, sipped power, and the freezer wasn't just for show. But only if you know the three things that make or break it. I put this through 21 days of daily use with a temp data logger, a kilowatt energy meter, and a sound meter at 1 meter distance. What I found flips a few assumptions about compact fridges, and those three must-knows will save you from the two most common mistakes that tank performance. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already leaning Whirlpool for your office, dorm, or garage and want the best current price, the link is below. But hang on, because the way you set this up can be the difference between ice-cold drinks and soggy lettuce. I bought the Whirlpool Mini Fridge because my weekend fridge rotation was a mess. The old bargain compact was loud, ran hot in the door bins, and froze spinach against the back wall. I needed spill-proof glass shelves, real temperature control, and a freezer that could actually make ice without turning everything else into a slushy soup. Space was tight under a 24-inch counter, and I host neighbors every Friday, so warm beer is a non-starter. I was skeptical. Mini fridges love marketing fluff, whisper quiet, energy-efficient, family-sized storage. Been there, burned once. So I set a simple goal: if this Whirlpool couldn't keep mid-shelf temps under 40 degrees during heavy use, it was going back. I staged a realistic load: drinks, meal prep containers, condiments, and a couple trays in the top freezer. I leveled it, reversed the door hinge for my layout, and got to work. First test was temperature stability. I placed data loggers mid-shelf in the door bin and in the freezer. Room was a steady 72 F dial set to the middle. With a normal daily open-close routine, mid-shelf stayed between 35 and 39 F good. The door bin hovered 41 to 44 F, fine for drinks, not great for milk. The back wall did get cold enough to glaze over, dipping as low as 29 F at times, which will bite tender greens if you press containers against it. But then I pushed it, party simulation, 6 openings per hour. After spikes to 45 F, it recovered to 38 F in about 12 minutes. Not pro level, but far better than the bargain unit it replaced. Freezer next. This Whirlpool's separate freezer door helps a ton. After 24 hours, the top compartment sat between 8 and 12 F. It made ice cubes in about 4 hours and kept ice cream firmish. Not rock hard like a deep freezer, but good enough for weeknights. However, here's the catch: pile warm leftovers under the freezer shelf and you'll see temps creep in the fridge zone. Airflow matters. Keep a little breathing room and put the quick spoil items on the middle shelf, not the door. Energy use was the surprise. On the middle dial, with decent spacing behind the unit, it averaged 0.55 to 0.7 kWh per day in my 72 F room. But then I pushed it flush against the wall. Bad idea. Consumption jumped near 1.0 kWh per day and temps cycled wider. Pulling it back just 2 inches dropped energy and tightened the swings. This is where most people go wrong with compact fridges. Strangled airflow equals warm drinks and high bills. Noise was reasonable, not silent. At 1 meter, I measured 36 dB when idle and about 41 to 45 dB during a compressor cycle. It's a low hum with occasional gurgle. In an office or living area, totally fine. For a dead quiet bedroom, you'll hear it at night. I reduced vibration by leveling the feet and placing a damping mat under it. Do that, and the buzz you hear on cheap floors mostly disappears. Usability-wise, Whirlpool did the basics right. Glass shelves are sturdy and wipe clean. The door holds cans and a tall bottle slot, and you can reconfigure to fit a 2-liter if you remove a shelf. The reversible door was straightforward, and the gasket sealed well after I warmed it with a hair dryer on install to seat it. But here's where it gets interesting: that thermostat dial is not linear. On my unit, the sweet spot was around 3.5 out of 7 for everyday use, and about 4.5 if you're loading it with room temp drinks before a gathering. Above that, you'll frost the back wall faster and risk frozen produce. The most surprising discovery: clearance is king. Give this Whirlpool 2 inches of breathing room behind and half an inch on the sides, and performance jumps. With proper spacing and a reasonable load, mid-shelf temps stayed tight, and energy dropped roughly 20% compared to when I jammed it against the wall. Add a little cold mass, think a few bottles on the bottom shelf, and you get even better stability because the thermal buffer smooths out the cycles. I also learned the door is always your warmest zone. It's fine for condiments and drinks, but keep dairy and protein inboard. Compared to a no-name compact I tested last year, the Whirlpool had better door sealing, less temperature drift after openings, and measured about 3 dB quieter on average. Versus a pricier compact from a specialty brand, the Whirlpool's layout was actually more practical, though it doesn't offer auto defrost. And that leads to the third truth most people miss: this freezer will frost. Expect to manually defrost every month or two depending on humidity and how often you open it. Plan a 30-minute defrost with towels and you're golden. So the 3 things you need to know are simple but crucial. 1. Treat it like a real appliance and give it proper ventilation clearance. 2. Find the dial's sweet spot for your use and don't push items against the back wall. 3. The top freezer is legitimately useful for ice and short-term frozen items, but it is not a deep freeze replacement and it will need occasional manual defrost. Now that you know the clearance and dial trick, you'll want to set this up right from day one. If this checks your boxes and you want the best current deal, grab it using the link in the description. Prices bounce and stock comes and goes, so don't wait if your space and timing work. Bottom line, if you need a compact fridge for an office, dorm, guest suite, garage drinks, or an Airbnb, the Whirlpool Mini Fridge nails the essentials. Safe temps, practical layout, and reasonable noise and energy use when set up correctly. Skip it if you need whisper-silent bedroom operation or a frost-free, long-term freezer. For everyone else, it's a dependable little workhorse. As long as you respect the airflow, dial it in, and use the door for what it is, the warm zone. Set it up right, and the Whirlpool acts less like a toy and more like a mini appliance that earns its space.